Hi little berries, this is Eryberrie here. I wanted to talk about something that I don't normally talk to people about. 18 years ago, I left school. I wanted to talk about my school life because I'm not talking about it in the sense of, what was it like experiences at school or anything. Unlike many of my peers, I didn't want to leave. I didn't like the first 3.5 years of school, but the last 18 months of school I loved. I developed a bit of a backbone so I could stand up to the bullies, and then people started, leaving me alone. I had the odd run in, but it wasn't too bad. I really love learning. The GCSE level, it sort of like hikes up from the previous level. So you you really get into learning. And at the age of 15, 16, you're developing into an adult. And I found that I got a lot more respect from my teachers and I became a lot more confident. I enjoyed the lessons. I actually even enjoyed PE, which I never enjoyed before. I was going through a tough time with my sexuality, but school for me was a great place to be for routine and regularity. I knew where everything was, I knew where I needed to be at what time. I can't tell you what it was that I liked about it other than what I've said, but I was absolutely heartbroken after the last exam. I had no other reason to be on the school premises. I remember after my last exam, I still went and sat on the benches while all the other years were in their lessons, and I just sat there and still in my school uniform thinking this is the last time I'm ever going to wear this. I don't need to be here anymore. All of my school friends they made a quick getaway after the last exam. They didn't want to be there anymore, but I did. And I think I was the only one who did. I just realised I shouldn't be here. It's not my school anymore. And with a heavy heart, I walked home. And I didn't go back until I think the following September when many people who were in the final year were called back for a ceremony. Um, that was a really nice reunion. And we've never ever had a reunion. I'd love to, but I just don't have the resources to organise something like that. And the school where I went to, 5 years after I left, it was bulldozed over and has now been turned into like apartment complex, and where the athletic track was is now an academy. It has a completely different name. Yeah, it's just not there anymore. But it's weird because I can remember every inch of that school. I can walk through it like a simulation in my mind. I knew where every parking space was. I knew where every gravel pit was. I still remember the bumps on the pitch. It's really weird to just go through it in my head, and I remember so much of it, but I know it doesn't exist anymore. And now I'm 34. I've been more away from school than I ever was in it. I was only there 5 years. I've been away from school now 18 years. I still, in some ways, pine for those school days because it was just so simple. I got up, got myself dressed, got out to school, went to my lessons, did my thing. I went home for lunch every day, back to school, back home a couple of hours later, and then just chilled out. It was just such a simple life, such a simple time. And there is a reason why people say it's the best years of your life. And for me, it was. And it was just as I was leaving school, when I was doing my GCSEs, when I was doing my exams, because I was actually ill during some of my exams. But that was the point that I really hit a deep depression. And I think leaving school had something to do with it. The enormous crush I had on this older woman had something to do with it. The fact that I was ill, I was convinced that I was not going to make it. Um, and while I was doing my GCSEs, I really did contemplate suicide. Um, I even sort of made a almost an attempt one day after the exams, and I changed my mind. Um, I had counselling after that, and I still had counselling from the same counsellor from school as after school. So for 3 years, from age 16 to 19, um, I was in quite a deep depression, and I think for those 3 years, I was trying to get used to the fact that after going to a school 9 till 3-ish since age 4 to 16, I couldn't get over it even a year. It took me a while to get over that. But when I started getting into the world of work, and also I went to college as well, it helped get me back into a routine. But with work, I was in casual hours, and now I know that my love of routines is to do with the fact that I'm autistic. I didn't know at the time, but it was such a huge comfort bubble to me, and to be around people with whom I was familiar, and to have work there that was easy for me to do, and I knew I could go home and chill and everything. And of course, when you're 15 and 16, you don't have the responsibilities that you do when you hit 18. You don't have to pay bills and worry about things like insurance and TV license, and when you're dealing with everything, it life just becomes a bit of a burden. And that, I think that 3 year period, that transition period, for I suppose from being a girl to being a woman, was so difficult. um it was I'm glad I went through it, but I would never want to go through that period again. I went through 18 months before that of being really happy and really content, to really being unhappy and not content. And it wasn't till 2 years later, after going through a few jobs, that I finally got a job at the organisation that where I still work. Even at the age of 34, I've been there 13 years nearly. I think if I were to change jobs, I think I'd have to stick to 9 to 5. I don't think I could do shifts. Everyone who I spoke to after I left school, they were so happy to be shot of that place. They didn't want to go back. And I really did. I really wish they'd had a sixth form, but they didn't. I really wish um, that I could just have the power to rewind time and live it all again. That's really all I have to say on the subject, but it's something that I wanted to share with you, and I just wondered whether you feel that school days were the best of your lives. As I said, I was bullied a lot in the first, say, 3.5 years. It was horrible for me to go to school every day and go through that, but for the last 18 months, I really stood up for myself. If for you, going to school were the best years of your life, or the most easiest, most simplest years of your life, and if you missed it when you left, if it took you a while to get over it, please get in contact via the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. I really, really would, and see whether you feel the same or whether you just couldn't wait to go away from school. And if, of course, you were bullied up until the point that you left school, I completely understand why you wouldn't want to go back there. I may do another segment at another time about bullying. I'll see you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye, all berries. Bye.